Our friend Lisa, who is looking for an apartment to rent, is overwhelmed by all the options and came to us for help. We are going to show Lisa how she can use Excel to organize the data and help her make a decision. First, let's take a quick look at a few interviews of Lisa's prospective roommates.
Hi, I'm Betty Lou.
And I'm Mary Jo.
And we would just love to have you as one of our roommates. Our apartment is really close to campus, just about a mile away, and our rent is really cheap.
Only $3.50 a month.
I love to cook.
And I love to clean.
So you would not have to do anything. We just want you to be our friend.
So please come live with us. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Leroy Brown. My rent is about $185 a month. I live about a mile from campus. I have 2 pit bulls, and they might eat any other animals, so they're not allowed. Let's see, my old roommate cooked and cleaned for me, so if you could do the same, that would be great. You're only allowed to shower once every 3 days, so we can keep that water bill down. That's about it, so I need the money, so come live with me.
Hi, I'm Mary Louder, and I live in that penthouse right across the street. Rent is really cheap. It's only $700 a month. However, I do have expensive things, so you're not allowed to use them unless you ask. But it would be a privilege for you to live with me.
Hi, I'm Charlene, and this is my cow, Bessie, who lives with me. We live in a trailer about 8 miles from campus. Our rent is only $160 a month, and there's no utilities to pay because we don't use electricity, and we get our water from the pump in the neighbor's yard.
And those are only a few of the many apartment options that Lisa has. As you can see, Lisa has a tough decision to make. To make her decision easier, we are going to teach Lisa how to use if statements and nested if statements in Excel. You may be thinking, what exactly is an if statement? Well, an if statement is a function in Excel. Functions can be accessed by clicking on the FX button next to the formula bar at the top of your Excel screen. The if function returns one value when a condition is met and returns another value when the condition is not met. As you can see, we have entered the data for all of Lisa's prospective apartment rentals into an Excel spreadsheet. Each apartment has a description of having a good or bad roommate based on Lisa's preferences after watching the videos, a rent price, and a distance from campus. The first criteria that Lisa will use to make her decision is whether the other people at the apartment will make good or bad roommates. This is a decision tree diagram, and the yellow circle represents where an if statement will be used. The Excel formula, as you can see, looks a little complicated, so let's apply it to our situation. Lisa is examining, or testing, whether the roommate is good or bad. If the roommate is good, she wants to consider. However, if the roommate is bad, the condition is not met, so she wants to reject. So now, in the Excel format, we would say equals if D3, which is the column containing information on roommate quality, equals good, then consider. If not, or false, then reject. The good is in quotation marks because that is the value Excel is searching for. The consider and reject are also in quotation marks because that is the value that you want Excel to display if it is true or false, respectively. Notice that you should use commas to separate, and there should be no spaces in the formula. As you can see here, we entered the Excel formula that we just created into the decision column and hit enter. We then used the fill handle to complete the table. Each cell in the decision column now displays a value of consider if the roommate is classified as good, and reject if the roommate is classified as bad. Lisa definitely wants to live with a good roommate, but that is not the only factor in her decision. She also wants to consider rent price. Being a college student, she is looking for rent that is less than or equal to $400. The yellow circles once again represent where if statements are required. So, for each apartment option, if the roommate is good, we want to then consider rent. This requires a new if statement saying that if rent, shown in cell E3, is less than or equal to $400, we want to consider. If not, or false, we want to reject. We will now insert the new if statement for rent into our original if statement. The rent if statement will be inserted in place of the value if true component of the original if statement. Once again, to make sure to use quotation marks correctly and separate components with commas and no spaces. Using this new nested if statement, Excel will first test if the roommate is good. If the roommate is good, then it will further test if the rent is less than or equal to $400. If the rent is less than or equal to $400, the value will be consider. If not, the value will be reject. If, in the beginning, the roommate is found to be not good, it will not test further and will yield reject. We insert the new formula and use the fill handle just like we did before. Now our column shows us consider for all good roommates that have rent less than or equal to $400 and reject for everyone else. As you can see, we could continue to nest if statements to add other criteria to our search. This tree diagram adds on the decision component of distance to campus. We would repeat the same process as before and insert our new distance if statement in place of the value if true on the rent if statement. As you can see, if statements in Excel are useful for all kinds of decision making, especially when there is a lot of data. By inserting simple if statements into an Excel spreadsheet, we have created a way for Lisa to quickly identify apartment options that have good roommates, rent less than or equal to $400, and that are at most 10 miles from campus. Now, instead of having 20 or 30 overwhelming options, she can focus on the 4 or 5 that meet her criteria and make a quick decision. Now, you have all the tools to make if statements work for you.